My sister and I have never gotten along. I can't really stand to be in the same room with her. She has always been extremely jealous of me because she was boring and antisocial, where I've always been prettier and more popular. I've mostly ignored her at family events for years, but this year I want to tell my parents to not invite her. About a year ago, I decided to divorce. Things were no longer working with my husband, so I chose to end it. He did not take it well. He had moved to my home area and just never bothered to make any friends of his own. His lack of support isn't my problem, but I have tried to join him for supper once a month, no kids involved. It turns out my sister and her husband have still been talking to my ex. Apparently, they meet up with him anytime they are in town to see our parents. When I found out, I was livid, so I called my sister up. I told her it was disrespectful to me that they would keep in contact with my ex. She had the nerve to say that they still like him as a friend and want to keep supporting him. She then went even further to ask if he could come join us for Christmas dinner, stating my ex's family is all 4,000 kilometers away, and because I sold the house at a loss, just wanted to be done with it. He has no money to see his family. Unfortunately, he has chosen to stay in the same area because of his job. I lost it and started screaming at her that she needs to support family, and there is no way my ex is coming to Christmas dinner. She said he was family for 10 years and alone for the holidays. I should be more kind. I hung up on her. It's been a week, and she still has not apologized. If she won't support me, I don't want to be around her. So, would I be the a-hole for telling my parents to leave my unsupportive sister out of Christmas? Yes, the a-hole. You definitely are not the prettier sister, because your attitude is awful. Does your ex need to be at Christmas dinner? No. Can you control whether your sister maintains a connection with him? No. Should you be making this your parents' problem? No. You seem very narcissistic, and I wouldn't be surprised if your family actually likes your ex more than they like you. Edit. Wow. I cannot get over how mean some people have been. You think I'm terrible? Get a mirror. In 3000 Char, I was just trying to be brief. She was jealous, she would say so. Growing up, even though she was a year older, I was forced to take her everywhere because she had no friends. By 16, I started ditching her at the mall. She would mock my makeup tutorials. All her issues focused on my looks and friends. She went to college first, so I picked one far away from her. Sold house at a loss because the market was bad, and it had been 6 months after the split. If I knew it was going to rebound, I would have waited. Several asked for ages. I'm 31, sis 32. Ex and brother-in-law are 35. Parents late 60s. I'm currently on vacation with my brother plus his 2 kids, sister, husband, and my parents. I, 30 male, work as a kindergarten teacher, and I need this vacation bad. I just want to go down to the beach and lay there all day, soak up that juicy vitamin D, and look at wet hotties playing volleyball. My sister is a self-proclaimed child hater and doesn't want anything to do with our nephews, so she and her husband spend most of their time having lunches and going to shows in a town close by. My parents are like, ugh, we're old and tired. We can't deal with children. So they sit at a beach bar all day long. And they all, especially my brother, think that I, a kindergarten teacher, should help out with his kids and take on the mommy role for them. From day one, my brother was like, could you help dress them? Could you make them some breakfast? Could you clean up the vomit? Could you give the little one a bath? Let's go to the beach together. Let's build a sandcastle together. Let's teach them how to swim together. And I did, for over a week, because I'm spineless. But then all of that helping out turned into me doing it alone, because my brother keeps running around pretending to do stuff. He always has some important call to make and something to do in the other room, and quickly hop into the shower. A couple of days ago, I was talking to an attractive Swede, and my brother came and asked me to keep an eye on the kids while he hops back to the house for a minute. It took him an hour to get back, and the Swede was already halfway back to ducking Gothenburg. So I told my brother I need to have a proper rest while I'm here and to ask someone else to help out with the kids. He said sure. The next morning, he woke me up at 7, asking me to make breakfast because everyone else is still asleep. So I put some milk and cereal on the counter and disappeared. There are 5 adults there, and they can handle 2 little boys. I took all my crap and went to the furthest part of the beach. Sometime during the day, I sneaked into the house to have a shower and a change of clothes, and went on a date. I wasn't back until 3 a.m. last night. This morning, the 5 of them pretty much had an intervention. They said, sure, they're not perfect either, but I'm only harming the kids that way. How am I harming the kids if they are surrounded by a herd of adults? They said, okay, we'll contribute. And I just said, no way. I know what that's gonna look like, and it will end in me doing everything again. I did everything for 10 days. Now I'm done. The only time I'll spend with my nephews from now on is fun playtime. The rest of them can wipe their butts and clean their vomit. They all think I'm an a-hole and a bad uncle. Am I? Not the a-hole. Not your kids. Not your problem. If your brother does not want to take care of his kids, he should get a babysitter. Stop doing your brother's work. If he wakes you up at 7 because his kids need to eat, tell him they are his kids and his problem. Don't get out of bed. When I was a teenager, I was originally saving to buy a scooter to have fun riding around town on. But on my 15th birthday, my dad gave me an engine kit for my bicycle and convinced me to get a learner's permit and keep saving to buy a car instead. Even after moving in with my dad, I continued doing odd jobs and earning money any way I could. But my dad asked his brother, my uncle, to teach me to drive because he worked as a driving instructor for a while in the 90s. We started lessons at a local community college where I drove around the parking lots and circled the campus. Then we went to country roads that few cars frequented. This repeated itself for a while till we finally decided to try cities and highways. We took it slow 2 days a week, and I slowly got pretty good at it. Right after my 16th birthday rolled around, we went to the DMV to schedule a driving test. I passed on my first try, thanks to all the practice I got beforehand. Not long after getting my license, my dad decided it was time I worked part-time for him at his business after school. I was happy because it would make me double the money I was already saving from odd jobs. I started at what was referred to as the bottom rung. I was doing the cleaning around the office, filing paperwork, handing out mail to employees, and just doing any basic task that needed doing. Before I knew it, I doubled my savings. While I had chosen to live with my father and my sister didn't, Dad still had a room prepared for my sister when she came to visit. For the first few months or so, Sis didn't bother to come visit. But eventually, Dad convinced her to come over 1 day a week on Saturday. And Dad always picked her up so I wouldn't have to see my mom. Thankfully, she didn't really want to see me either. My sister by this point stopped asking me for money or trying to break into my room since I was living in my dad's house and not mom's. But she loved to game on the game systems we had at Dad's house. There was PS2, GameCube, Xbox, and Sis's personal favorite at the time, an Xbox 360. Dad had always had a decent-sized flat-screen TV to play the games on in his den. That was practically a luxury back then, as those TVs were pretty expensive. Sis would pretty much spend all Saturday night playing games in the den and drinking Coke. That's probably one of the main reasons why she even wanted to come visit, since she didn't have an Xbox 360 or flat-screen TV at Mom's house. Eventually, after just over 6 months of working at my dad's business, he approached me with an offer to find a car I liked. He said that if I found a good, reliable used one that was the right price, he'd help me buy it and would put it on his insurance. I was ecstatic. So I started looking at local ads and found a silver '98 Toyota Camry with under 50,000 miles on it for sale. It was in great shape, save for the fact that the rear bumper had been dented and a few of the windows were broken along with a badly cracked windshield because it was vandalized by some thug. The seller offered it to me at $3,500 with the damage, but my dad talked him down to $3,000 because of the money it cost to get it fixed. I bought the car, and it went right to a local auto body mechanic my dad was friends with. He went to a junkyard and pulled parts of another Camry of the same model and used them to fix the Camry I'd bought. And when we went to pick up the car, it looked almost brand new because he'd replaced the broken windows, pulled any dents there was, and touched up and shined the paint with a buffer. I was overjoyed and thanked him and my father profusely. I bought the car, but my dad paid for all the repairs. He never told me how much though. But that car was my main ride for the next 10 years, if you can believe it. And I eventually sold it to a cousin on my dad's side for his first car. But that's not what you're here to read. When my sister saw the car in Dad's driveway, she asked whose it was. Sis: "Hey, whose car is this? Is someone else visiting?" Me: "Nope, that's my car." Sis: "No way." Me: "Yes way. I just bought it and Dad helped me get it fixed. It runs like new." Then my sister got really quiet and went back in the house to play more video games. She didn't really speak to me for the rest of the time she was visiting that week. I started driving the car to and from high school, and I got a fair amount of attention for it. Many of my classmates were asking for rides and whatnot. But my ever being a stickler for the rules didn't give any rides because I legally wasn't supposed to for a few months since I was a teen driver. My sister, however, had complained to our mother after going back home about my new car. Somehow, she couldn't process the fact that I'd gotten a car and she didn't, even though she was 3 years younger than me and was only 13 at the time. She started making a stink to our mom about how she wanted a car too, and my mom called me on my cell phone to yell at me for starting this problem. I told her there was no problem. I bought a car with money I earned, and now I'm driving it. And if sis wants a car too, then she can either work hard and save up like I did, or hope she gets one as a gift. Mom just got mad at me and said it really wasn't fair. I pointed out there really wasn't a fairness issue at all, as sis wasn't even old enough to get a learner's permit yet, let alone a car. Mom just said I wasn't being supportive of my sister's feelings, and that when she is old enough to drive, I should at least lend her the car when she needs it, or give her driving lessons. I bluntly said that wasn't happening, as I bought it with my own money, and it'd be put in my name when I turned 18. Plus, she couldn't dictate what I do with the car because I didn't live with her anymore. And I had no idea what kind of good or bad driver she'd be in a few years. And with her habit of taking my stuff, I wouldn't let her anywhere near my car keys. Mom just angrily huffed, called me a jackass, and hung up on me. I thought that was the end of it, but it wasn't. My sister started visiting less after that. She got mad at me one day just for washing my car outside. The following is paraphrased from what I remember. Sis: "What are you doing?" Me: "I'd say it's pretty obvious, but I'm washing my car." Sis: "Yeah, I get that you're doing that, but why bother to do it yourself? I mean, you got money. You can just take it through a car wash." Me: "And where's the fun in that? At least I don't have to spend $10 to run it through a machine if I just take the time to wash it myself every so often." Sis: "You're just showing off because you have a car." Me: "Showing off to who? You and I are the only ones here." Sis rolls her eyes. "Oh, come on. All my friends keep talking about you and your stupid car. It's not even a cool car. Just a shiny silver turd you think looks nice, and you won't even give me a ride in it yet." Me: "Because I'm mandated by law not to have any passengers for several months. And it may just be a Camry, but I like it, and I really don't care what you think about that." My sister then, in a fit of anger, picked up some dirt off the ground and chucked it at the side of my car. But I just sprayed the spot with the hose and it looked like it was never there. So my sister just stomped back in the house and didn't talk to me again. After that, she only came over for one more week again. When she came to visit, she always has a big backpack with her because she'd bring clothes and other stuff in it. She didn't keep many things at Dad's house. But the next morning, when she left, she was wearing the same clothes, which was unusual because she never did that back then. She said she'd just die if she wore the same outfit 2 days in a row. I later found out the reason for this. When I next went into the den, the PS2, GameCube, and original Xbox were destroyed, and the flat-screen TV had part of its screen smashed. The Xbox 360 was also missing. I then realized she'd smuggled it out in her backpack. The other game systems she smashed and left what remained of them sitting on the TV stand. I checked the various games for the systems, and Sis had removed a bunch of the discs from their cases and stolen them as well. And she took all of the memory cards too. When I told my dad, he was pretty mad. He called my mom, and she actually said that since I got the car, letting Sis keep the Xbox 360 and the games she stole was the least he could do. She then smugly said that Sis didn't want to come visit anymore. Dad angrily told her she better stop sounding so happy about it, or he was going to make her pay for all the damages. Mom just snorted and finally allowed him to talk to my sister. My dad was pretty heartbroken Sis had done all that. He'd been trying so hard to get her to appreciate him more. But Sis admitted over the phone that she hated him for divorcing Mom, and her taking the Xbox 360 and destroying the TV and other game systems was, as our mother called it, compensation for her pain. Dad could have called his lawyer to sue for more custody rights, but he believed that if she didn't want to be there, he wouldn't force her. From then on over the next decade, I barely saw either my sister or mother. Dad didn't bother to try to get the Xbox 360 back. He said that it and the other stuff Sis broke were just things that could be replaced, and bought new ones. But I could tell he was really hurt by what Mom and Sis had done. He actually left my sister's room pretty much untouched for the next few years, but she never came back to use it. From the way my sister is now, though, you'd never guess she was the same person. She's extremely ashamed of her actions back then, and wishes she could take it all back and apologize to Dad. But can't, since he passed away some time ago. We visited his grave recently, and she cried over it. I'm really not sure how to end this story. I don't even have a moral quip or something to say. I'm honestly sorry for your struggles with them. A few good things I got from this was, 1. You had a great dad. 2. Your sister actually matured. 3. Sounds like you have some sort of relationship with each other now at least. Hopefully it keeps up in a positive way for you.